technical difficulties abound when it's just Kate and Sonia.
Of course it does. Yeah, so it wasn't going live on my end for a second, so then we went to Kate's and then it went live on Kate. So guess what? We're live. Yes, we were.
Did you ever watch Charmed? That's how Piper used to freeze people. We got it. Hi, we're live.
Hi, we're live. We're so glad you guys are with us. We are so glad you guys are with us. It's just me and Kate tonight. And so that means that we're going to have fun. And sorry if we go a little bit over because there's a lot to talk about tonight. And yeah, we always have fun. So let's get it started. First and foremost, if you guys are watching over on our YouTube or over on Twitter, over on Facebook, head on over to the YouTubes, okay? Head over to our YouTube channel so that you can interact and get in the chat with us and say, hi, Kristen. And we can say, hi, Camden. And we can say, it's John.
Hi, John.
Dynamic too.
He's waiting.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, it's a Seahawks fan. Good thing Lisa's not here. She'll say mean things about Gino.
We don't say mean things.
I miss Pete Carroll
Gino.
too. Whole lot of people miss Pete Carroll. Here's the fun things that happen if you join us on the YouTube. We get to take your comments and put them on the screen.
Yes. And you get to interact. And you get to interact with our friends that are in the chat too. Y'all can talk back and forth. We see what you're chatting. We can chat about it. It's really great. Oh, and who's here? Darcy. Hi, Darcy.
Darcy. Is Big Red here? Because we should talk about Big Red's not here. Then we don't have to talk about Spencer Rattler. What was his name? Spencer Rattler.
Oh, and it's our friend Murph.
Oh, Murph. Hi.
Murph.
Hope you're doing well. I know Murph's had some issues in the last few weeks. Glad to see that you are here with us. We're going to talk footballs.
We're talking footballs. Oh, and back to Darcy. I'm taking the over, okay? I'm taking the over. Wait, hang on. Jeez, y'all are talking too fast. I'm taking the over on that one because you've probably watched it 900,000,002 times.
What?
Oh, the Hail Mary play. You know he's watched that like 9,873 times at least. And that's just they.
It's like the wallpaper on their laptops. You know, the rest of us just have a picture. They just have that video. I mean, if there is not, we'll talk about that. Why don't we talk about the two plays from this weekend that.
Hang on.
Oh,
we got to talk about donkeys. We have to say thank you, donkeys.
Thank you, donkeys. Best cheesesteaks on the East Coast. 3 locations. Camden's our favorite because Camden comes into the chat. See what I did there? Camden, Medford, and Mount Holly.
Yes. Make sure you stop by. If you're in those areas, tell them that the Our Turf lady sent you. Also, you can order online, goldbelly.com. Search Donkey's Place and get some ordered to your house. If you live in the lower 48.
I just typed in cheesesteak and Donkey's Place was the first one to come up. And I got it. They Goldbelly does delivery. It's a little pricey, but it is delicious. I got the buns. I got the meat in little vacuum pack things. I got the caramelized onions. I got the sauce. I just had to warm it all up and put it together into a sandwich. It was really good. They only deliver certain days of the week, depending on your area. So like in my area, they delivered on a Friday. I didn't make them until Tuesday. They were fine in the fridge for a couple days. They were delicious.
Really? I didn't realize that they. Okay, cool. Well, very good.
Yeah, in Northeast Ohio, the only days they deliver are Tuesday and Thursdays. You get to pick your delivery day. And every week that I had a choice of, it was a Tuesday and a Thursday.
Oh, that's excellent.
So my guess is they got to go to the place. They got to get the stuff. They got to package it. They got to send it to you. And so they do that probably on certain days of the week.
Oh, guess who's here? Big Red. Guess who we get to talk about for a second? Spencer Rattler. Oh my gosh, you guys, we're going to have so much fun.
We're going to make it a thing. We are going to make it a thing. It's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
If we can make, what's his name in Florida? Dude, now I forgot it. Head coach. What do we call him?
Oh, hipster homebrewer?
Hipster homebrewer. I couldn't. We got Sunshine in Jacksonville. We got hipster homebrewer. And now we got Spencer Rattler. The other one was perfect. Like it wasn't even rehearsed and it was perfect. All right. Have we killed enough time to welcome everyone to the chat?
Yes, I think we have. So, let's get into it.
There's a couple plays I want to talk about from this weekend. The first one was that Hail Mary. I didn't even know that I would call it a Hail Mary. I'd call it tip drill. That was absolutely a tip drill. When you think about a tip drill, it's this whole cluster of guys here, and that ball's going up in the air, and there's one dude 7 yards back where he's supposed to be in the end zone, and the ball just goes doink. So, like, I get it was a Hail Mary. Dude was scrambling all over the place. I think he was at the 35 when he finally let go of that ball. Yeah. I'm like, he's up to the 40. No, he's back to the 30. He was just all over the place. He got an arm. He got an arm. But to have them stand in exactly the way they were, it was textbook. Kristen says, tip drill perfection. Absolutely textbook. That's the film all the teams should be watching today. When you do a Hail Mary, when you're going to do a bomb like that, you need all your people up there and you need one dude just standing back and waiting to see which way it gets gone and go get it. It was really well done.
Mm-hmm. That was perfect. It was a great ending. Yeah, it was fantastic. And it was nice to now have a new Hail Mary to refer to when teams talk about it than the one that was against the Lions that Aaron Rodgers threw. We don't like to talk about that.
We don't talk about that one either. We'll let that go. Do you feel a little bad for the Bears?
Sorry.
I just wanted to see if you'd laugh. A lot of people on my timeline on social media today were like, I feel kind of bad for the Bears. And I'm like, you know what? I never feel bad for a team, even mine, when they lose on the last play of the game, because you shouldn't have let it come down to that.
Yes.
If you had handled your business for the first 59 and a half minutes, the last 30 seconds wouldn't have hosed you. So while I get that Bears fans and supporters are a little bummed that that's how it ended, if you'd have handled business earlier, who hands the ball off to a center and then doesn't actually make sure he's got the ball in his hands? Because he made it into the end zone. We just don't know where the ball went. Like, mistakes were made, okay? Mistakes were made through that whole game. So much for the Bears. And then I learned the second play from the weekend that I learned. Mm-hmm. I learned that there is a difference in when you are making a catch in the NFL. Saying that you have to have 2 feet down is not the same as having both feet down. So apparently you can't just hop and have the left foot down repeatedly. At some point, the right foot has to touch before you go out of bounds. I was not aware. I guess I really never thought about it until I saw it last night. And then I went and looked today and watched it repeatedly. And I was like, I thought he caught the ball. I would have given him a catch.
I would have too. Not even gonna lie.
I also have Pickens on my fantasy football team, so I didn't get the yards and I didn't get the touchdown. And you know how much I love Steelers, but I think when he was hopping, if his butt had hit inbounds, that would have counted as the second body part, and it would have been okay. But it landed out of bounds, and so maybe in my head I need to stop thinking of it as you need 2 feet down. And think of it as you need 2 different body parts down in bounds. Because it's just a foot. He put that foot down. He had 2 feet down. It was the same foot. John, what if he only has one leg? What if he can't dance and people say he has 2 left feet? Are they both left feet or is there a left and a right?
I have 2 left feet. It's a genetic thing. Weird.
Buying shoes is difficult. You're why they check the boxes at the shoe store to make sure you didn't actually take 2 left shoes.
Yeah, that's me. My bad, y'all. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, those are the plays from the weekend I wanted to talk about today. You know what? How does Lieutenant Dan make a catch?
Doesn't he use the
Apparently,
shrimp
he
net?
needs a wrist, an elbow, a knuckle, a butt cheek. He needs something else to touch the ground than just his one left foot.
This is football, not Twister. You're right, John.
I don't
You're right.
know. I don't know. I've seen some plays. There have been multiple plays where a guy is down on top of a whole slew of people, and they're like, ain't none of them touching the ground because he's right foot red, left arm in the end zone, football up here, and none of him's touching the ground. There have been some very Twister-like things in the NFL.
Oh, Lord, this show's going to, is it harder to get a PI on a one-armed man? Now, please, Big Red.
It is, unless you have the U.S. Marshals involved, and then they go find the one-armed man and take him to prison because Harrison Ford was innocent. Spoiler alert. That was a whole way to... Anyway.
Wow.
Sonia.
I forgot about that. Yes. How can I help you?
One of our favorite young quarterbacks that we were so excited to see this year in the city of Indianapolis, Anthony Richardson, was back on the field this week.
He was, wasn't he?
But some things happened. Some things were said
early.
Apparently, he needed to hit the senior citizens buffet at 4:30 at the Golden Corral. What did he say, and what are we going to do with him?
He said he was tired. He was tired. See, Bob said it.
But he was
too tired.
Tired.
He was tired.
He was tired.
He's tired.
Was anyone else on that team tired? Were the 320-pound offensive linemen trying to protect his little skinny butt tired?
I think they were tired. Just a little bit, too.
I think they were tired of Anthony Richardson.
This was not a good look. Murph Mrs. Golden Corral. I do too.
I do. We have them still here, but my husband's not a fan of buffets. Even before the Rona, I will buffet all day. And I don't even eat that much, but I like to eat. I like to order just appetizers on a menu. I'll have 3 appetizers and skip an entree. That's why I like a buffet. I never know what I want to eat. I have a little bit of everything. We are way off the right. Sonia, Anthony Richardson.
I love it. Anthony Richardson, I think that was not a good look for him. I don't know if getting benched was truly the right answer. I've seen a lot of discussion today about developing quarterbacks and, does he need to be benched in this situation? Should he get the reps? Is this the Colts just giving up on the season and putting it into Joe Flacco's hand, or at least giving it up for Anthony Richardson this season and getting it back into, Flacco's hand? Do we need to see more of what's going on like in Atlanta, having Kirk Cousins, really doing the thing with Michael Penix on the bench? Is that becoming a lost art? Is that what Anthony Richardson needs? I have more questions than answers about this situation, and I don't like that.
I'm with you. Because you're right. It does beg the larger question. I think benching him is fine. I think putting Flacco in is fine. You have a good backup. Right. But I think there need to be behind the scenes things. He needs to spend some time with the strength and conditioning coach.
Yes.
If you're tired already, honey, the college season ain't even over yet. Like, I get some of these guys, week 16, 17, these rookies struggle because they're used to a, 12-game college season plus a bowl. So right. I get that. He ain't a rookie. Get over yourself. Why are you tired? He needs to spend some time with the strength and conditioning coach. And while I agree he needs the reps, he needs to develop. They need to figure out what he is. You also need that discipline. You need to bench him. You need to tell the other people on the team, you may be the quarterback, but it's not okay for you to say you're tired and you just want to go sit. You need to stop that. So Atlanta's got an issue. Their problem is they're winning and they look really good with Kirk Cousins. And as long as they're winning and looking really good, Michael Penix ain't going to see that, which is fine. He can sit a year. They're doing good. We have issues here in Cleveland. Jameis Winston came in this week. All of a sudden, first time all season, I got a quarterback throwing for 300 yards. We put more than 20 points on the board. I have 2 wins. And I have crazy people talking about Super Bowl. I have told them all to shut up. I have muted them. I can't even. As positive Polly as I am, they're not going on like a 10-game winning streak. The Browns are not going to the Super Bowl. Stop. They are just
I
going to
told
play
you
football.
transitive property.
They are just going to play football that isn't quite as painful to watch. I can live with that this year. What I can't live with is having a meh record. What am I going to win? 4 games, 6 games with Jameis? He is not my quarterback of the future. What are we doing for DTR? Dorian Thompson-Robinson needs developed. We need to know what he is. He's in that same situation as Anthony Richardson. It's his second year. We don't know what he is. He needs to get some reps. If you need to put Jameis take the wheel. You need to put Jameis under center at the home games to keep the home crowd coming. On the away games, I'd be putting DTR in. I would be designing packages for him, and I would be figuring out what he is. The Falcons, surprisingly, are doing really well in their division, have a shot at winning their division. You leave Kirk Cousins in and you let Michael Penix sit, and he will sit. He will be fine for a year. He is still going to be amazing. There is no question about what he is. Give him time. He's learning. He's growing. He's watching film. He is very, very smart.
Yes, he is.
There are other teams that are struggling with this as well. But these are just the ones that pop up into my head right now. They're all.
I also kind of
Go ahead.
I also kind of thought about Anthony's injury. And, did that have anything to do with it? I mean, yeah, it's his second year. He's only played 10 games. But at the same time, I mean, that was my initial thought. I'm like, dang, did he not rehab that well after his injury?
Yeah, so that's the question.
That's really where I was.
Is it, is he being a wuss and going, I'm tired, I don't want to play? I don't see that from very many football players. What I see is Tua with a concussion who falls down and goes, I want back in, put me in, I'm fine. It's just a flesh wound. They want to go back in. Is he not fully recovered from the injury? Have they not built his stamina up? Have they said to him, listen, these are the signs you need to watch for, and if something happens, you need to let us know. You do not want to regress. You do not want to make things worse. You do not want to go backwards. So we're not in the locker room. Maybe it's a still part of what his injury was and his rehab. And they're like, well, he let us know and we need to rethink that. And maybe we need to sit him and make sure everything's okay.
Right.
It could be one of those.
It could be one of those. It could be. Let's see. Bob asked a question. Have we talked about Russell Wilson's game yet? He came in late. Good old Russ. We have not talked about Russell. We talked about a catch in Russell's game. I see flashes of the old Russell, and it's like he comes back in the second half. You have to give him the first half to warm up and get cooking, and then let him cook. Because, that's what I've seen in the past couple games, is that you got to give him the first half and then let him go.
And luckily, he's on a team with a defense that will keep them in the game until the second half. When they get to the second half, he's not already down 34-9. It's 12-9 or 9-9. They can give him time to get revved up. In that game yesterday, Russell had 20 for 28, 278 yards and a touchdown. That's Russell. Just good enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Darcy's absolutely right. Justin Fields is not seeing the field again unless Russell gets hurt. It is what it is. Mike Tomlin has the worst problem ever. He has 2 serviceable quarterbacks. You know what I mean? And he's never going to pick top 10. It is what it is in Pittsburgh. That's the price you pay for being as consistently good as you are. When you're winning 9 or 10 games or better every year, you don't sniff the top 10 in the draft, which means you've got to acquire a quarterback the way they acquired Justin and they acquired Russell. Mm-hmm. The reality is they're both good. Russell will finish this year. You're right. Justin will not get back on the field unless Russell gets hurt, but he doesn't have to. He has more football years in him than Russell does. Yes. No offense, Russell Wilson fans. He ain't got 5 years left in him. Justin Fields does. So if this is Pittsburgh's plan, right, you let Russell play this year as long as he stays healthy, he keeps playing, anything happens, you got Justin. And when Russell's done playing, you got Justin, and they're fine. They have bigger problems. There are other teams, I saw a couple trades go down today. I saw the Ravens traded for, was it Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver out of Carolina? So here's the thing.
What? What's that?
Baltimore Ravens fans. Your receiving core ain't your problem. Your offense ain't your problem. Your defense is your problem. Y'all need some help on the pass rushing because you let the Browns pass for 334 yards on Sunday. I don't know what you're doing a deal for a receiver for. You need some pass rush help. Sonia, is this the beginning of the end for the Carolina Panthers? Is it a fire sale now? Are they just getting rid of people? And is it a fire sale? Does Bryce Young need to find? I would trade them Watson for Bryce Young. The problem with Watson is, and I saw all your comments, it ain't even about him as a person. His stats are crap. Nobody wants him because he's too much money and his stats are crap. If he was playing well, they'd be lined about the door to take him. He hasn't been playing well. And then when you bring a Winston in with 300 yards, they're like, and a whole lot of things changed this week, right? We had Ken Dorsey calling plays. We got Wyatt Teller and we had a couple of our guys back on the offensive line. You had Nick Chubb back. Jim Donovan, longtime voice of the Browns, 25 years. Superhuman being, nicest guy, nice to women in the locker room. And that isn't always the case. Passed away, had been fighting cancer, leukemia for a while. Took a break last year, came back, took off this season, passed. So you had that little emotional, we're playing for Jim today. So there was a whole lot of things. So I don't want to hear the, Deshaun's out and suddenly you're playing well. Whole lot of things were happening. But there are a whole lot of teams in the NFL right now. I could probably name 6 off the top of my head, Sonia, so could you, who could use a good quarterback. But Deshaun's not good. Deshaun is not Clemson Deshaun. Deshaun is not even first 3 years in Houston Deshaun. I don't know what his problem is. But don't nobody want that.
Nobody want that.
Ain't nobody want that.
Nobody wants that. Oh my gosh. You know what, Kate? Let's get into the position that we really don't talk about too much. Sorry, got to change gears a little bit.
Punters?
Huh?
Every day is National Quarterbacks Day.
Every day is National Quarterback Day here on our turf.
According to Lisa,
every day is national. It should be, right?
But Sonia, what is the 4th Sunday in October?
4th Sunday in October? Oh! National Tight End Day.
We know what the 4th Saturday in November is.
That's
and we don't even need to say it. If you know it, put it in the chat. 4th Saturday in November. Put it in the chat if you know what it is. But the 4th Sunday in October. National Tight
End Day. And did they show out, boy?
Absolutely. It was a great game. Great guys to be in that game. And I love the broadcast guys made a little belt that looked like a WWE belt that they presented to the best tight end of the game and his quarterback. And that was
oh, sorry. my bad, Camden. Sorry.
Okay. I can't read the chat. If y'all are not here, come by later, read the chat. Oh, yeah. Adults only, please.
Yeah.
George Kittle. I couldn't remember who the tight end was for Dallas. I'm not going to lie. Thought it was Dallas Clark. I'm like, oh, crap. He retired a whole bunch of years ago. Was it Ferguson? Dallas did not look good.
No,
did not look good.
Dallas didn't look good.
Did not look good. I hope our friend Michelle is not watching today, and you and I cannot mention it tomorrow during our college football podcast. Dallas is rough.
We're not talking about it.
I don't even know what to do with them. But George Kittle looked good.
Kittle looked good. Kyle Pitts looked good. David Njoku looked good. Thank you. He's
David Njoku looks good all the time. You know what I'm saying? Got himself a catch yesterday. Actually heard one of the broadcasters refer to him as Jameis Winston's security blanket. And I said, no, his whoopee. We call that a whoopee.
Let's get that straight.
We do. Let's get that straight. In Baltimore, Mark Andrews finally seems to have gotten himself going.
Yes.
Brock Bowers may be in Las Vegas, but he is second in fantasy football stats for tight ends. He's getting his yards. He's getting his touchdowns. The rest of that team is struggling to figure out what they're doing. But there are a lot of tight ends this season that are doing better and have better numbers than some of the wide receivers. I think teams like Baltimore, even Cleveland at times, because I watch them so much, are running 2 and 3 tight end sets very frequently. Sonia, who you got in Detroit?
Sam Laporta. Thank you.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Sam Laporta.
1 touchdown, 48 yards. Brock Wright finally got him involved in the game.
Nice.
He got a touchdown, 8 yards. So, yeah. And, Coach Campbell is a former tight end, too. So, yes. Of course, he's going to show love to his tight ends.
Yeah. So, Kyle Pitts in Atlanta, I thought his first couple seasons didn't quite live up to the hype out of college. He is doing really well this year. Maybe he needed Kirk Cousins to get a little bit of that going on. Cade Otton out of Tampa Bay has found some magic with Baker. Tucker Kraft out of Green Bay is Jordan Love's, starting to be Jordan Love's Wooby. There's some really interesting names. I mean, Cole Kmet in Chicago is always in that top list.
Oh, yeah.
But from a fantasy perspective, I think there are a lot of people who took Hunter Henry, Mark Andrews, some of those, the names right? And now they're not even in the top 10. It's all guys that I had to go look up when I had to find a replacement tight end on a bye week. I'm like, who are these people? And every tight end on the Ravens roster is exactly right. When you're starting 2 and 3 tight end sets all the time, I don't know why you trade for a wide receiver, but whatever. We all know you're just going to play the tight ends. I still don't understand that trade.
Love me some tight ends. They're so versatile too. Because who can always be like an extra lineman and then go out and catch passes? I love tight ends. They're versatile. They're fun. And Evan Ingram also had a good day. He had 4 catches, 36 yards.
Yeah. Hayden Hurst. Someone asked about Hayden Hurst. Big Red asked how Hayden Hurst is doing. He's running routes and he's blocking. He's not getting a lot of targets. He's not getting a lot of yards. He's with the Chargers. Evil Harbaugh and the Chargers will be in Cleveland this week, so I'm going to keep an eye on him. But the Chargers have a lot of issues. They are underwhelming at best. I don't know what's going on with Justin Herbert under center. I think that's contributing to his productivity. But from the couple games that I've seen this year, and like I said, I'm going to watch him again this week. He's doing the things you need to do as a tight end. He's running his routes. He's blocking really well. And he's trying to help with the run game. So he's doing all the things. He's just not getting the targets. And so I don't think it's any lack on his side. I think that's something from a fantasy perspective, when you're looking at tight ends, they are very different from a wide receiver or a running back because they are asked to do so many things. And you may not get points from someone who is a cornerstone of a team. You have got to look at the team in general. How do they normally run their offense? If they do a lot of running, they're not throwing to the tight ends because they're blocking for the running backs. You know what I mean? So I think that position is more affected overall by how the team is doing than wide receiver. Or, the Bengals are not doing well and Jamar Chase is the best wide receiver in fantasy. So it's wide receivers and running backs can have their numbers. Right. So, but I think tight ends are just very dependent. So he doesn't have good numbers, but I think he's in a good space. And I think over time, he will start to get more targets and more numbers out there.
Speaking of fantasy, we got to talk about the Donkeys League. We have not talked about the Donkeys League all season, and I got to get into that because it's looking pretty fun out there. Everybody's having a great time. Who we got in first place? Napa Charbonnet, Miss Becky. She's got a 6-2 record. Right behind her, hot on her heels, is Mr. Eric, Detroit Lions fan. Oh, this is the Donkey League, by the way, that we're talking about.
There's a trophy. There's a trophy. There's a trophy. It's a very cool trophy.
It's a very cool trophy. It's a very fun league, and we just might have something else besides trophy for the winner.
Yeah, I lost this week, and I was very unhappy because I have been doing really well. Alvin Kamara may be number 2 running back total points, but the week before he got me 2 points, and that's not okay. He'd probably be doing better than Derrick Henry if I hadn't had that week. You have 2 points, you sign a deal, all of a sudden you're playing again.
Right.
I I've had more players on IR. I only have 2 teams, and I've had 9 guys go to IR.
Bro.
I drafted Christian McCaffrey overall. Number 1 pick in my draft, IR. Anyway,
Yeah.
Donkeys League standings. Do I got to play you this week? What's your team called?
My
Oh,
team?
yeah.
Oh, wait, no. You're talking
Jameer
about our
Quad.
OG league. Our
Oh, that's the OG League. Oh, you have the Donkeys League.
Yes, I have the Donkeys League. The OG League, though. Yeah, I got you. I'm
Yeah, you got me this week.
After Jamiroquai, Jahmyr Gibbs.
I got you. You spelled it Jameer. I'm so dang purdy.
Yes, she is
That
so
dang
purdy, ain't she?
So run us through who are the top 4 teams in the Donkeys League standings at this point.
The Donkeys League. Hang on, let me get us back. Let him get us back to the league. So yes, Becky with Nap Charbonnet. She is at 6-2. We got Mr. E, my Lions fan. He is at 5-3. So let's see who's like. We got 3 teams at 5-3. Breeze, you're killing me. Smalls is at 5-3. Basil. He's not ranch anymore. He's Chicken Basil Ranch. He's at 5-3. And then we've got 2 more people at 4-4. So like it's a 14-team league. It's pretty competitive. Our friend Camden, you're at 4-4. You're just behind me. You're not too far. You're doing great.
In the OG League, Spencer Rattler is a free agent. Who's a free agent? Spencer Rattler. I don't know if he's been taken in the Donkeys League. He is a free agent in the OG League.
Maybe I'll take him in the OG League just because I can. I might. You never know. Hang on. Spencer.
All right.
Shoot, well, I got to spell you all.
You find Spencer. I mean, there's not a lot of surprises in who's doing well and who's not in fantasy. And I really do think, I know Big John, you were going to tell me, yeah, John, you're going to tell me that you don't really care about fantasy football and stuff, but I find it interesting to see if the top players are also on the top teams. So when it comes to quarterbacks, your top quarterbacks are Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen, Brock Purdy, Joe Burrow. The Joe Burrow one is puzzling. I mean, he puts up a ton of points and that team's defense is horrific and they can't get him there. But in general, you didn't hear me say Pat Mahomes, did you? He's not having a great year from a fantasy league. He's number 21 in overall points. But you know what? They're winning games. When it comes to running backs, it's Derrick Henry again. Saquon Barkley is killing it in Philadelphia. Yes. It was one of our questions before the season started was he going to produce again? Because he wasn't happy to leave the Giants, and he is producing just fine. Alvin Kamara with New Orleans. And then I think maybe one of the biggest surprises this year is Kyren Williams for the Rams. Your Jamiroquai Gibbs is number 5, Sonia, which again, I don't know what's going on in Detroit. That return game y'all played yesterday. Who needs offense or defense? Just let them return kicks all day and they'll just
literally.
It was brilliant. So from a wide receiver perspective, so the Ravens, who are, aside from losing to the Browns, are still one of the best teams in the league, have the best quarterback from a fantasy perspective, the best running back. They don't have anyone on the wide receiver list. You got to go to tight ends. And even then, so Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson from Minnesota, Brian Thomas Jr. from Jacksonville, which is so hard to see because that team is a hot mess. 2 wins this year? Chris Godwin from Tampa Bay, he's now on the IR. CD Lamb from Dallas, another receiver on a team that's not going anywhere, can't get out of its own way.
but he's killing it.
Points. But he's killing it.
Oh, wait.
We talked about the tight ends.
Another wide receiver. Hold on a second. I have him on my Donkeys League. Hang on. I'm going to tell you because he killed it this past game. Luke McConkley?
Yes.
He rocked it.
Lad McConkey. Loved him at the combine. He's a rookie. He's young. He's a rookie. I got him on my roster. Love him. He's He's this year's Puka Nacua, if that makes sense.
Yes, that totally does.
He needs a little more time, but he has the ability to be that big, to make a big splash as a rookie. Frankly, a bigger splash than Marvin Jones Jr. down in. I love me.
You
me some
mean
Buckeye
Marvin
wide
Harrison?
receivers. I know, Marvin Harrison Jr. down in Arizona. That team is a hot mess. He is suffering for the hot mess that is that team, and he's not getting his yards, but he'll be all right.
He'll be all right.
He'll be all right.
From a fantasy perspective, he'll be all right.
But then there are fantasy stats that boggle me. Sonia, do you know which defense has the most fantasy points right now?
Hang on, I'm thinking. No, who?
I'll give you a hint. They're 5-3. They're the Denver Broncos. Like, how is that? Giveaways, takeaways. Holding their opponents to less points. I know. Minnesota Vikings in second place, which makes sense. Pittsburgh, absolutely. Green Bay Packers, and then the Bears. All of those make sense to me. They're all pretty close from a statistical standpoint. But Denver being number one was not what I expected. But
that was not on my bingo card.
You can see that was not on my bingo card. That's why they're 5-3. Where's my NFC conference? Because the Green Bay defense is doing really well. As also, they're 6-2. Thoughts and prayers for Jordan Love. Had himself a little injury this week. So I don't think there are a lot of surprises when it comes to the fantasy football stats, other than the Broncos being the best defense, and then a bunch of the tight end names were not people that I expected. I expected Derrick Henry to be doing really well at running back. I worried if Lamar would give him enough runs or if Lamar would be running. But apparently Lamar is indeed still very happy to be a quarterback in the pocket and will hand off to Derrick Henry. No problems at all.
Exactly.
Doing well.
Man.
My defense stopped him, but that's just me. Anyway. I don't know. So fantasy is what it is. If you don't play, that's cool. You take it all with a grain of salt. But I like to look at it, even when I'm not playing, even when the years when I didn't have teams, I still like to look at the stats to see which ones help me to figure out why some teams were 1-7 and some teams were 7-1, right? And defense seems to be the big answer this year. I don't know what to do for teams like Carolina, who has one win, and what is it? Tennessee, I think, is the other one. They're the only two teams left with one win, and I don't know. I mean, where's Lisa? They both have quarterback issues. They benched Will Levis in Tennessee. Poor Bryce Young. I can't even. He needs to just ask to sit and get traded.
So bad.
It's a mess. Does it begin and end with quarterback for those teams, or is there? What are they? What are they going to go 1-2?
1-2. Probably
go 1-2 in the draft.
1-2. I think so. I think Tennessee's defense wasn't like awful at first. They were, they kind of came to play a little bit, and then after that, the Lions just wore them down. But they didn't look terrible at first. So I think that's part of it.
Oh, did they get tired?
They got tired and they couldn't walk off. They just couldn't be like, we're done. Poor guys.
Yeah, poor guys.
Oh,
they're tired.
But I think that's part of it. But I don't know. They've got a lot of issues.
Well, and now they're trading people out, right?
Yeah.
Now they're trading people out. When I look at the Panthers, they lost 28-14 to the Broncos, 38-20 to the Falcons, 40-7 to the Commanders, 36-10, 34-24. They won 2 games in a row, but that was preseason and then week 1, so I don't think that counts.
No.
they beat the Raiders, right? They put up 36 points. They haven't sniffed 36 since then. Their defense appears to be their biggest issue because they're giving up an average of 32 points a week. And that's not going to win you games in the NFL.
No.
21 is what my data and analytics, that's my sweet spot. If you can score over 21 and your defense can hold them to under 21, you got a very good chance of winning the game. 21 is the number. It ain't 32. It ain't 32. The Titans, however, their games have been a little closer. They lost to the Bears 17-24, and then the Jets 17-24, and then the Packers 30-14, and then they beat the Dolphins, but then they lost to the Colts. They lost to the Bills. They lost to the Lions. It's interesting because with them, it appears to be more of an offensive issue. So they put up 17, 17, 14, 12, 17, 10, 14. The only game they put up more than points in the teens is 1 week on Monday Night Football against the Dolphins. They put up 31. And other than that, they can't get out of the teens. And that is their problem. They've lost games by 2 points, 3 points. We won't talk about 52-14. That needs to go over here. So I think
that's an
Carolina
outlier.
needs to fix that defense. Tennessee needs to fix that offense.
Yes.
I think that's
they got a chance for a couple. No, I don't know if they'll win another game this season.
I don't either. Not without help. And I don't see either of them being big players at the trade deadline. And I don't know that there's one player out there that either of them could get that would make the difference.
No,
so,
they're
both of them want a quarterback, right? Both of them want a quarterback. The problem is, you should watch our podcast tomorrow night. The problem is, this is not going to be a really heavy quarterback talented draft.
No.
Which is fine with me. You take whatever quarterback you want at 1 and 2, and my 2 and 15 Browns will happily take Travis Hunter at 3. Thank you very much. And for those asking, and I'm talking to Dana, no, Miles is not available. Stop messaging me. The Browns have said Myles Garrett is not available. He's untouchable.
You heard it here first, folks.
I don't know
Myles
if Carolina
Garrett
gets
is
the
staying
first
home,
pick or if Tennessee does, but it's going to be, I'm calling it week 8. I'm calling it, it'll be one of those two teams.
Mm-hmm.
It just will be.
Yep. That was our question. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
yep.
Tomorrow night, we'll get into some more college and we'll talk about why Travis Hunter is going to the Browns. We're also going to talk some more about tradition, I think, next week or tomorrow too on our college football podcast.
I got a list of my 10 favorite college tradition games and the things that the winning team gets when they win.
Ooh.
We'll talk about the rankings. We'll talk about the playoff scenarios. We'll talk a little bit about Heisman. And what conference are we going to highlight tomorrow night?
I think tomorrow night we're going to talk about Conference USA. I'm not 1,000% sure who's in Conference USA off the top, but I want to say one of them is the Kennesaw
So
State
last
College.
week we talked about the MAC. If you're interested in college, we broke down all the MAC schools. There are some good ones, and there were some good games this year, this past week in the MAC conference. So it is a fun conference to watch. But we're going to talk about Conference USA tomorrow, and if I can Google fast enough, WKU, Jack State, Liberty, Sam Houston, Louisiana Tech, Kennesaw State, Mexico State, FIU, UTEP, and then MTSU. So we're going to talk about those schools. There are very good players at these schools that either are going to get drafted in the late rounds probably, or are going to be undrafted free agents that are going to get signed to your football teams. It's important for you to know who some of these smaller schools are in some of these smaller conferences, and they still play very good football. I'm a fan of good football. Don't necessarily care if it's in college or in the pros. Don't even care what teams are involved. I enjoy a good football game, and some of these smaller conferences have better football games than you see in the Big Ten or the SEC. They're more balanced. There's a lot more going on, and they're more entertaining to watch. So, Big Red, in 2 weeks, we will talk about the South Carolina football team.
Yes.
The Gamecocks.
Yes, the Gamecocks. We will talk about them. Spencer Rattlers.
Yes.
Alma mater. Yes.
We're gonna make it a thing.
Oh my
Sonia.
gosh. We are. We're gonna make
We're
it
gonna
a
make it
thing.
a thing.
Yeah, see, and that's kind of, Murph, you're right. That's kind of what we're talking about, to give you, highlight people that you need to look at. And so we're trying to help you out with that too. And just talk college football, because college football is fun.
There's so much going on. There really is so much going on. But we need to get going. Dana's going to yell at us. We always run late when we get to Gavin. But it was a super fun show.
Yes,
and I thank you, everyone in the chat. If you watched us on the Twitter or Facebook and you missed out on the chat, next week you should come over to the YouTube. Come join us tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
same bat time, same bat channel. If you want to hear about college football, or you come next week. Oregon State Beavers. Anyway.
All right, you guys. Have a good night. See y'all tomorrow, okay?
Peace. Thank you.